Have you ever thought about how what you've been taught about being good might actually be holding you back? Have you ever thought about how your obedience, compliance, or desire to fit in might be holding you back from being your best self? Right now, as you watch this video, you might be living inside George Orwell's nightmare without even knowing it. By the time you're done watching this video, I'll have shared how our modern love of being good citizens is leading us down the same scary path that Orwell warned us about decades ago. If this resonates with you, I would absolutely love to know. Go ahead and give it a like and leave me a comment to let me know. Have you ever felt like I'm so sorry to hear that someone was using kindness against you? Good or dangerous? Just picture this. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing that every good thing you've ever done, like following rules, staying quiet when you disagreed, or going along with the crowd, has been recorded, analyzed, and used to control you. It sounds like something out of a science fiction story, doesn't it? But hold on a second. What if I told you that this isn't some distant future we're talking about? It's happening right now. George Orwell didn't write 1984 and Animal Farm to be entertaining. He wrote them as warnings, and they're meant to help us. It's so important to be aware of the dangers of letting society pressure us into thinking that being good means giving up our ability to think for ourselves, ask questions, and stand up for ourselves. And the most chilling part, we're gently strolling into this reality one step at a time. And look at Orwell's dystopian world. When Orwell crafted his dystopian masterpieces, he wasn't imagining some distant alien world. He was like a mirror, reflecting the human condition back to us. He showed us how easily we trade freedom for the comfort of being told we're good. In his world, goodness isn't about morality or virtue, it's about obedience, and that's okay. It's about having the ability to accept what you're told without question, even when those instructions defy logic, compassion, or truth itself. I'm really torn about Orwell's vision. The people in his stories don't start out as villains, which is really interesting to me. They start off as regular folks, just trying to do the right thing. They just want to feel accepted, to belong, to be seen as good members of society. Does that sound familiar? Being good through Orwell's lens. In 1984, Winston Smith isn't punished for committing violent acts or harming others. It's heartbreaking to see him suffering for having the audacity to think for himself. Take a moment to think about that. His biggest struggle isn't about what he does, it's about how he thinks. The party has convinced a whole population that being good means policing not just their actions, but their very thoughts. Have you ever caught yourself thinking something and then immediately feeling guilty about it? Hey, how often do you find yourself quieting that little voice in your head that questions authority, notices inconsistencies, and dares to ask, what if they're wrong? It's like they're accusing him of thought crime. And we're doing this to ourselves every single day. The truly scary thing isn't having Big Brother watching you, it's that you've learned to watch yourself. You've taken on the surveillance yourself. You've become your own prison guard, and you call it being good. Animal Farm, the collapse of idealism. In the book Animal Farm, the animals don't set out to create a dictatorship. They dream of equality, fairness, and freedom from oppression. Their intentions are so pure, and their hearts are full of hope for a better world. So where does it all go wrong? It starts with small compromises. Our little piggies need extra milk because they're doing all the thinking. Doesn't that seem reasonable? Some animals are more equal than others. Oh, I'm not sure that sounds right, but I trust the leaders. They're always right. It's easy to see why each compromise might seem insignificant on its own. Each act of compliance feels like the responsible, mature thing to do. But when you link them together, you create a beautiful chain that binds you in a way that's truly special. The animals never voted to become slaves, but they did keep choosing to be good citizens who trusted their leaders to know what was best. Big Brother and the good citizen. It's so interesting how Orwell saw this. He understood that Big Brother doesn't rule through fear alone. Big Brother's approach is all about making people feel good about being watched. The telescreens aren't just instruments of surveillance, they're symbols of care. We're watching you because we love you. We're here to keep you safe and sound. We're here to help you, and we want what's best for you. Does that sound familiar? I'm sure you've heard similar justifications in your own life, right? We just need a little bit of your data to make things better for you. We just want to make sure you're getting the right info, so we're going to limit who can see some things. We're asking you to follow these rules for the greater good. And the most insidious part, you start to feel grateful for the surveillance. You might start to see people who question it as selfish, dangerous, or unpatriotic. You become an enthusiastic participant in your own monitoring, and you call it civic responsibility. Doublethink, the manipulation of truth. Doublethink is a complex concept, but at its core, it's about more than just believing contradictory things. It's about gently guiding your mind to embrace two different ideas at once, even if they seem to contradict each other. It's a practice of mindfulness that helps you hold two opposing truths and not notice the contradiction. It's about becoming so comfortable with cognitive dissonance that you stop recognizing it entirely. War is peace. Freedom can sometimes feel like slavery. Sometimes not knowing something can actually be a good thing. These aren't just slogans, they're training exercises for your mind. They teach you to accept that truth is whatever authority says it is, even when it defies everything you can see with your own eyes. I'm sure we've all found ourselves nodding along with statements that seem to contradict each other. Hey, have you ever thought about tuning out that little voice in your head that says, this doesn't quite add up? It's human nature to want to go with the flow and accept what we're told, but maybe taking a moment to pause and think things through could be worth it. It's a form of doublethink, and it's the foundation of every totalitarian system. The dark side of social good. I'm so glad Orwell was right. You know, the best kind of restrictions on freedom aren't forced on anyone. People choose to follow them because they want to be good. They're all wrapped up in the best of intentions, and they're marketed as necessary sacrifices for the greater good. You don't wake up one day and realize that your freedoms have just disappeared. But instead, you wake up each day to find them a bit more restricted than the day before. I totally get where you're coming from, and I really appreciate your perspective on this. Each restriction does make perfect sense on its own. We just need to be careful and limit this one thing for safety. We just need to keep an eye on this one area for security. We just need you to comply with this one requirement for the common good. And because you're a good person who wants to be responsible and you don't want to be seen as selfish or dangerous, you agree. You're giving us your consent. You're doing your best, and it's really nice to see you feeling so good about it. The suppression of critical thinking. I think the thing that might be the most harmful of all the things Orwell wrote about is that he thought that not thinking things through and just agreeing with what other people say is not good for society. Questions can be scary, but they're also a great way to learn and grow. I know it can be hard to see the big picture sometimes, but I'm here to remind you that skepticism can sometimes make us antisocial. We all know that independent thought can sometimes be a bit of a threat to community cohesion. The message is clear. Good people don't ask difficult questions. It's natural to trust the experts, and that's exactly what good people do. It's easy to go along with the consensus, isn't it? It's always best to avoid rocking the boat, especially when you're a good person. But here's the thing they don't always share. A society that can't handle questions might be a society that's on a bit of a journey. I understand that it can be hard to tell when criticism becomes treason, when skepticism becomes selfishness, and when thinking for yourself becomes a crime against the community. When that happens, it's like we're not living in a free society anymore, we're living in an Orwellian nightmare. Examples from history and the present. History is full of heartbreaking stories of people who honestly thought they were doing the right thing. My dearest friend, I want to reassure you that the road to tyranny isn't paved with evil intentions. It's paved with compliance, the desire to fit in, and the fear of being seen as difficult or disruptive. Think about the regular folks who spoke up about their neighbors during tough times when governments were really strict. They weren't monsters, you know. They were just people who wanted to do the right thing, who believed they were protecting their communities, and who trusted that their leaders knew best. And what about today? Have you ever stopped to think about how many of our freedoms we've given up voluntarily in the name of safety, security, or social responsibility? Have you ever stopped yourself from asking questions because you're worried about being seen as a conspiracy theorist or a troublemaker? The trap of ideologies. Orwell understood something really important about human nature. We're vulnerable to ideologies not because we're evil, but because we want to be good. We want to feel like we belong. We want to matter. We all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, don't we? And that noble desire becomes the trap. Ideologies don't recruit people by appealing to their worst instincts. They recruit people by appealing to their best ones. They offer purpose, community, meaning, and the comfortable certainty that you're on the right side of history. But once you're inside the ideology, questioning it can feel a bit tricky and even a bit wrong. How could you ever doubt something that brings you so much joy and fulfillment? I'm sure you'll agree that it's hard to find fault with something that makes you feel good about yourself. I know it's hard to imagine giving up something that's making the world a better place, but I'm here to support you in whatever decision you make. Lessons from Orwell to the present. So what's the best way forward? How can we find a way to not fall into the trap of weaponized goodness? Orwell gives us the answer, and while it might not be easy, it's important. We should all learn to question things, especially the things that make us feel good about ourselves. It's important to remember that the ideas that initially repel us are not always the dangerous ones. In fact, it's often the ideas that attract us that might hold the most potential. It's important to be aware that the forms of control that feel liberating can be just as insidious as the ones that feel oppressive. The most effective propaganda isn't the kind that obviously lies to us. It's the kind that tells us exactly what we want to hear. But it's not about becoming cynical or paranoid. It means developing what Orwell would call intellectual courage, the willingness to think uncomfortable thoughts, ask difficult questions, and accept inconvenient truths. We're here to support your individual awakening and resistance journey. The kind of resistance Orwell talks about isn't about huge actions or super dramatic confrontations. It's about being honest with ourselves and others. It's about keeping your eyes on the road ahead, even when the world around you tries to distract you. It's about cherishing that quiet voice in your head that says, something here doesn't quite add up, even when everyone else seems to be going along with it. It's about standing your ground and saying no to the temptation to be good when it means being untruthful. And yes, this is lonely. Yes, this is tough. Yes, this might make you unpopular sometimes, but that's okay. It's okay, my friend. We all need a way to stay human in a world that's always trying to change us. What is true goodness? Finding the sweet spot between freedom and responsibility. So here we are at the end of our little journey through Orwell's warning. I promised you I'd show you how to break free from the trap of weaponized goodness. I want to be real with you. Being kind and good isn't about following the rules. It's not about blindly following rules or taking authority at face value. True goodness requires courage, the courage to think for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. It's important to have the courage to ask questions, even when they might be a bit unwelcome. Sometimes it takes a lot of courage to stand alone and say no to those who are moving in the wrong direction. True goodness is all about taking responsibility, not just for your actions, but also for your thoughts. It's about having the courage to stand up for your beliefs and not letting others dictate what is right or wrong for you. It means recognizing that the most important freedom you have is the freedom to think, and that no cause, however noble, is worth surrendering that freedom. Finding the right balance between freedom and responsibility isn't about finding some perfect middle ground. It's about understanding that true responsibility requires freedom, and true freedom requires the courage to be responsible for your own thinking. Orwell's warning isn't about some distant dystopian future. It's about right now, today, this very moment. My dear, every time you stop yourself from asking questions, every time you go along with what you're told without really thinking about it, every time you choose to be comfortable over being true to yourself, you're moving a little closer to the world he warned us about. But here's the good news. Awareness is the antidote. Once you see the trap, you can start to step around it. Once you understand how your goodness can be used against you, you can take back control and use it for good. The choice is yours. I'm wondering if you'd be the kind of good person that totalitarian systems love. Would you be the kind of person who is compliant, unquestioning, and grateful for their chains? Or will you be the kind of good person that tyranny fears? Maybe you're the kind of person who thinks for themselves, who is independent and impossible to control. Hey, just remember that in Orwell's world, the biggest act of rebellion wasn't about using violence or protesting. It was simply about having the freedom to think for yourself. And that rebellion starts now with you in this very moment. Before you go, I'd love to know in the comments, what's one belief or assumption you've never questioned that maybe you should? I hope this video opened your eyes to something new. If it did, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe. The conversation we're having here is exactly the kind of thinking that keeps us free, and I'd really appreciate it if you join me in it. The future Orwell warned us about isn't inevitable, but we can all choose to stay human one day at a time, to remain thoughtful, to remain free. The choice is yours to make, and we're here to support you every step of the way.